Hey everyone. So the last couple of weeks, the last week or two, have been really stressful times for me, and it's been very emotionally taxing, and to be honest, it's been pretty hard to deal with overall. But yesterday on Tuesday, I think it got to its peak and got really intense. And I want to share my experience that I had on Tuesday, because that experience was what inspired me to make this video. So without sharing any of the personal details of what was happening, I want to explain what I went through, how I dealt with it, and what I got out of it as well, because it was a big struggle, but I got through it in the end. So before I begin talking about my experience, I just want to say that experiencing emotional pain is perfectly natural, and I'd say it's actually a very healthy part of the human experience. And if we're not able to experience emotional pain deeply, then I feel like there's something going on there. I feel like there must be some sort of blockages or stagnation that needs releasing, because it's this feeling emotional distress deeply is part of the human experience, and it's very natural for us. Also, it's not all a negative thing. Like, I know when we're going through it is extremely tough, very distressing, but oftentimes on the other end of that discomfort, it can lead to some positive things. So for example, when we do go through emotional pain and experience it to its fullest, it can allow us to see things from a new perspective even. It can allow us to feel positive emotions like gratitude, love and compassion even more deeply than ever before. We can also feel like this new sense of profound energy and clarity. And also, once we've been through a bout of emotional distress, it can give us an inspiration and motivation for us to make some positive changes in our life for the better. So going through emotional pain is something that we need to experience, and everyone does at times in their life. And it's not all negative. It can lead to some very positive things in the long run. So on Tuesday, it all began when some painful feelings were triggered in a conversation. And at first it started off pretty not so intense, and then the feelings slowly got worse and worse. Like, it got harder and harder for me to deal with. And so it got to a point where I was like, nah man, this is getting too much for me. I actually don't know if I can handle this anymore. Like, fucking hell, I need some sort of distraction here. So I was just lying on my bed just feeling all this shit, and it was getting so hard for me to put up with. So naturally what I did was pick up my phone and just scroll on social media for like, I don't know, I was scrolling for a while just to get my mind off of everything. I felt like the pain was too much, man. I just had to distract myself. And it was working. Like, when I was scrolling on Instagram, Facebook, I kind of wasn't thinking about the other stuff anymore, and I wasn't really feeling that pain anymore. But then it came to a point when I had to put it down. Like, I knew that distracting myself wasn't going to work forever. I can't just constantly distract myself from the pain. So I did have to eventually put my put my phone down and go back to it. So what I found was I was just laying there, but instead of feeling intense emotional pain now, I was just feeling dull. I was feeling numb and depressed to everything. Like the pain was sort of, it was there, and I knew I really needed to experience it to its fullest, but I just kind of couldn't. It was like it was all trapped inside of me and it couldn't come out, and I was just fully unmotivated to do anything at all. So at this stage, that was probably like that for like an hour or two, and at that stage I didn't know what the hell to do with myself. I was just laying on my bed in a really uncomfortable state for quite some time. But then eventually I had this intuitive feeling that a really good thing for me to do at that stage is to get out and move my body, do something to get the energy flowing. So I went out and did yoga for 20 minutes, and then I did some breath work. And what happened was, after doing the yoga and after doing the breath work, I went back to my room and sat down cross-legged with my back straight, and I just sat there waiting to see what would come. And oh my god, literally within 10 seconds of me sitting there, it all just came out. It flowed straight through me, and it was super intense. Like, I just broke down to tears. It was really, really intense, and I had all these intense feelings and thoughts, really dark feelings and thoughts of like, just painful ones, like, it was really dark. I was feeling really angry, sad, upset, confused, and I was wondering when the hell would this end. It was so shit. And this actually went on in varying degrees for like a few hours. I ended up just because I was sitting cross-legged, it got too uncomfortable, but the pain was still intense. So I was just laying there for a few hours, just on and off, crying and dealing with all the shit. But so what I noticed from that is my body was really stagnant because I was just laying down all day. The emotions couldn't flow. They were just stuck, and especially like after scrolling and numbing myself, they got even more stuck. So what I learnt from that is moving our bodies can actually help the flow of energy, and it can help the flow of emotion, because the word emotion literally means energy in motion. And when we're not moving around and our body's just still all the time, that energy is stagnant and it's stuck in our body and it can't flow out. So when we can actually go and move our body, it gets that energy in motion, and it allows us to feel that emotion, and it can be released. It may take some time. In my case, it took a few hours of intense pain, but at the end of this, after a couple of hours, it kind of all just came to a stop, and I did feel a lot better after it. So when it all did finally come to an end for me, I was able to look at the whole situation from a whole new perspective. I was able to look at it all objectively and see the bigger picture of what was going on. But when I was actually going through it, it wasn't like that at all. When I was going through it, the world was crumbling around me. I felt like I was fucked, and I was just gonna feel this way forever. It never does though. You always move through it. So yeah, on the other end, when I looked at it objectively, I was like, you know what? Everything's gonna be okay. I've got food, I've got shelter, I've got a healthy body, I've got great people around me that love me. I live in a great place. I'm very blessed, you know. So at the end of the day, the pain and discomfort that I was going through, it wasn't the end of the world. And I really could realize this when it was over, when I could look at it from the grand scheme of things. And now looking back on it, like, it inspired me to make this video, and maybe this video could help some people out there. So I think it all happened for the best, and this stuff needs to happen. We need to release our emotional pain. It is so bloody important. So what I want you all to take from this video is, well, number one, that don't feel ashamed, or don't feel ashamed if you feel deep emotional pain, because it's something completely natural and it's a very healthy part of the human experience. Another thing is, don't be afraid to dive in and feel what you need to feel. It's really important, because the deeper we feel it and the more we go through it and the deeper we dive into our emotions, the quicker it's gonna pass. Because if I had just like laid there in that kind of numbing sort of depressed state, and I didn't like actually dive into what I was really feeling, I feel like I'd still be feeling like that now. I would have just been stuck in depression, basically. So it's super important to make an effort to give ourselves the time and the space to feel what we need to feel, because then we can release it and let it move through and out of us. Another thing I want you all to take away from this is, if you go through these times when you know that there's pain there and that you know that there's stuff that needs to come out but it can't, I encourage you to just go out and explore movement in your body, because moving your body will allow the energy to be in motion, and the emotion will be able to flow through your body, because movement allows blood and oxygen to flow through your body much better and more fluidly, and so too with emotions. So if you're feeling stuck with what you need to feel, get out and move your body. It's really important. So the last thing is, at the end of what you've been feeling, at the end of a tough emotional time, I encourage you to step back a little bit and look at the bigger picture of everything. And I think 9 times out of 10 you'll come to realize, like, everything's gonna be okay, everything's all good. So at the end of pain and suffering, there's always some positive in it. I can assure you that one. So thank you all for listening to my video, and I'll talk to you all next time. Catch you later.